Our tariffs will remain in place until the U.S. tariffs are withdrawn, and not a moment sooner.
You know, I've been watching Canada's trade fight since the first Trump tariffs, and now it feels like we've reached a turning point that nobody saw coming. With most of Canada's counter-tariffs now gone, the big question hanging in the air is this: what's next for Mark Carney in this messy U.S. trade war?
To build the strongest economy in the G7. Our negotiations with the United States have been taking place as the U.S. has been in the process of fundamentally transforming all of its trading relationships.
Canada has just taken a dramatic step. Ottawa quietly rolled back the majority of its retaliatory tariffs against American goods. These were tariffs that once covered billions in cross-border trade. As of the first week of September 2025, most of those extra duties have been removed. We're talking about an estimated $30 billion in U.S. exports that are now once again entering Canada without the penalty costs that were imposed at the height of the standoff. That means more than 85% of Canada-U.S. trade is flowing tariff-free again. For consumers, for importers, for exporters on both sides of the border, this is a massive relief. Prices on everything from farm equipment to everyday consumer goods should stabilize, at least in theory. But make no mistake, not every duty is gone. Carney has kept the protective wall in place on sensitive sectors. Tariffs still hang over steel, aluminum, autos, and a few other politically symbolic industries like lumber and copper. The message is simple. Canada wants to open the door to talks, but it is not willing to come crawling. Carney is trying to strike a balance, protecting Canada's backbone industries while signaling to Washington that Ottawa is serious about de-escalating. How did we get here? Rewind to early 2025 when Donald Trump, once again in the White House, slammed tariffs on Canadian goods, reviving the same bruising trade battles we saw in 2018. In response, Canada retaliated with sweeping counter-tariffs of its own. The fight escalated into a trade war that spooked markets, strained supply chains, and raised prices across North America. Carney, fresh in office, promised Canadians he would not let the country get pushed around. For months, Ottawa held firm, matching tariffs blow for blow. But pressure has been mounting. Canadian business groups warned that the long fight was hitting consumers hardest. Farmers struggled with retaliatory U.S. measures, manufacturers saw costs climb, and retail prices on essentials began to creep upward. Carney faced a choice: double down on defiance or shift gears. By late August 2025, he chose the second path. In a carefully calculated move, he announced the rollback of most counter-tariffs, framing it not as surrender, but as a strategic opening. Canada, he argued, was putting the ball back in Washington's court. Now comes the tricky part. Carney has to prove this wasn't a misstep. Unions and some opposition voices are furious. They accuse him of selling out Canadian workers, of folding too soon, of rewarding Trump without getting concrete concessions in return. Headlines across Canada frame it as a gamble, a high-stakes chess move that could either reset relations or backfire spectacularly. Meanwhile, the U.S. hasn't exactly softened. Trump's tariffs on Canadian steel, autos, and aluminum remain firmly in place. His administration shows little sign of backing down before the 2026 USMCA review. That's the next big milestone. The trade pact that replaced NAFTA is up for a formal check-in, and both Canada and Mexico know Trump will try to rewrite the terms to favor American industries. Carney's rollback is designed partly to get ahead of that. By showing goodwill now, Canada hopes to build leverage later when the deal is on the table. Yet here's the twist. Despite the heated rhetoric, Canadians themselves have not entirely turned their backs on the U.S. During the peak of the trade fight, Canadian investors poured a record $50 billion into U.S. securities. The money kept flowing south even as the government was slapping tariffs on American goods. That's the irony. Politicians fight in the headlines, but money follows opportunity. So what does the future look like? Carney is positioning Canada for a two-track strategy. On one side, he'll keep negotiating with Washington, trying to carve out exemptions or sector deals that protect Canadian industries. On the other, he'll keep investing at home, betting that domestic reforms can cushion the blows of any future tariff wars. At the same time, he'll deepen ties with Europe and Asia, making sure Canada isn't cornered if U.S. talks collapse. The stakes are high. If Carney can steer Canada through this, he'll be remembered as the leader who ended the tariff war without bowing down. But if Trump doubles down and Canada gains nothing, Carney will be branded as the man who blinked first. For now, the story isn't finished. Most tariffs may be gone, but the trade war itself is still alive, waiting for the next move. And there it is. Canada stepped back, Carney opened the door, but the fight is far from over. The question is simple. Was this a masterstroke of diplomacy or a dangerous gamble? What do you think Canada's next move should be? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for what comes next in this never-ending trade.